Miss Bundy.
No, I'm here under false pretenses.
Nonsense. You're very welcome.
What is that woman doing?
I'm about to unpack the show's secrets and scandals before Downton Abbey 3. Directed by Simon Curtis with a script by Julian Fellowes, this movie is the sequel to Downton Abbey: A New Era. Most of the original cast who were in the first two movies will be back. Plus, Paul Giamatti and Dominic West are reprising their roles as Harold Levinson and Guy Dexter, and new faces like Jolie Richardson, Alessandro Nivola, Simon Russell Beale, and Artie Fruscian are joining the crew. The movie is set to drop on September 12, 2025, but before that, I'm diving into some Downton Abbey secrets. No one knows Julian Fellowes, the creator of Downton Abbey, drew inspiration for the show's period drama from his own background, including his experiences with a diplomat father. In a conversation with Closer, he shared a personal family story. His mother, not being a debutante, was initially met with disapproval from his great-aunts, who believed she had caught his father. Over time, they tolerated her, especially after she fulfilled her dynastic duty by having 4 healthy sons. Fellowes himself holds the title of Baron and is a member of the House of Lords. Also, no one knows that the hardest role to cast was valet John Bates. Over 60 actors were considered before Brendan Coyle was chosen, even though the studio wasn't sure he was right for the role at first. "We thought of Brendan early on," Travelic said. Julian actually had Brendan in mind when writing the part, especially after seeing him in North and South. He just felt Brendan was perfect for the role. But there were some concerns on the broadcast side, not because they didn't like Brendan, but because he had already done a period piece that might air around the same time on a competing channel. In the end, we just wore them down. 6 weeks later, Coyle got the role. Meanwhile, Highcliffe Castle, the iconic setting for Downton Abbey, became a major tourist destination in the UK. The 17th century estate even caught the attention of fans worldwide who were given the chance to spend a night there via Airbnb. 2 lucky guests got to experience the grandeur of the 100,000 square foot castle ahead of the film's release in September 2019. The renters of Highcliffe Castle might have had more than just a luxurious stay, they may have had to deal with a ghost. The show's historical consultant, Alastair Bruce, revealed a popular paranormal rumor in an interview with Travel Plus Leisure. He explained that when he told his cousin, John Margaret Herbert, Countess of Carnarvon, about the opening sequence of the show, she turned ashen. The scene showed Daisy getting the house ready with Mrs. Hughes moving around, and the camera focusing on the keys she carried on her waist. Bruce explained, "John, she's the Dowager Countess of Carnarvon, went white because there is a ghost at the house who is a former housekeeper. You can tell she's around because you hear the keys jangling at the end of her chain." In a more royal connection, Queen Elizabeth II was a huge fan of Downton Abbey and even fact-checked the show for fun. She loves to pick out the mistakes, said at home with the Queen author Brian Huey. Prince William was also a fan, with star Alan Leach recalling, "I shook his hand and he actually said, 'I'm a big fan of the show, only now that my wife's had a baby.'" In contrast, Maggie Smith, who portrayed the iconic Dowager Countess Violet Crawley, never watched the series herself. "I will look at it when it's all over, maybe," she told The Telegraph, explaining, "It's frustrating. I always see things I would like to do differently and think, why in the name of God did I do that? Now that you know these secrets, it's time for the biggest scandals on the show." The first one is Mary and Kamal Pamuk. Mary and Kamal Pamuk from Downton Abbey had one of the most questionable romantic moments on the show. It all started as a secret fling between Mary and Pamuk, the son of the Turkish ambassador, which caused quite a stir. Things took a turn when Pamuk unexpectedly died while with Mary. To make it worse, Anna and Cora had to move his body to his room to keep Mary's involvement hidden, which was pretty shocking. No matter how you look at it, this whole affair was a scandal that Mary would never be able to recover from. Another one is the Duke of Crowborough with Thomas. In Downton Abbey, being gay wasn't easy, and a closeted Thomas found love and intimacy in some surprising places. When the Duke of Crowborough showed up at the estate to pursue Mary and her fortune, it came out that he had been in a long-term affair with one of the staff at Downton. Their secret relationship was totally unexpected, but definitely intriguing. Things got even worse when Thomas tried to blackmail the Duke using their love letters. This was just one of Thomas's many struggles with his sexuality, which turned out to be one of the most interesting storylines on the show. Next is the cheerful Charlie's revelation. It wasn't a big deal that Carson had been part of a theater troupe, but the fact that the super stoic, rule-abiding Carson had once been in one before coming to Downton Abbey totally shocked both the audience and his fellow characters. It was hilarious to find out that Carson used to sing and dance for a living in a completely different life. What made it even more interesting was his story about his friendship with Charles Grigg, who up next is Bates getting arrested for Vera's murder. One of the most shocking moments on Downton Abbey was Vera Bates's death, which was filled with deception and manipulation. Her suicide disguised as a murder by slow arsenic poisoning was designed to ruin her husband, Bates. She even made up stories about being threatened by him to make it seem like he was guilty. The entire trial and her revenge plot would have made headlines, revealing just how malicious and determined Vera was to drag Bates down even after her death. Moving on to Sybil and Tom's romance. The romance between Lady Sybil Crawley and her chauffeur, Tom Branson, was one of the most controversial and scandalous storylines on Downton Abbey. Despite their class differences, they shared a passion for social causes and strong values. Tom's heartfelt speech about his love for Sybil became one of the show's iconic moments. It was clear that he was willing to fight against society and her family to be with her, but even then, Tom's relationship with Sybil was met with disdain and controversy from both the upper and lower classes for years. Another is Edith being pregnant with Gregson's child. Back in that time, having a child out of wedlock was almost unheard of. If it did happen, the child would usually be hidden away or given up for adoption. Edith's situation was even more complicated, and she got pregnant by Michael Gregson, who was already married and later killed. Edith couldn't stay away from her daughter Marigold and eventually took her back from her adoptive parents. Despite her efforts to keep things quiet, people soon found out that Marigold was her biological daughter, causing quite a stir. Moving on to Mary's premarital affair with Lord Gillingham. Mary was ahead of her time when it came to her views on relationships. Her decision to explore a physical relationship with Lord Gillingham before committing to him was quite progressive, but in that era, it was scandalous. To make matters worse, Mary also asked Anna to get birth control for her affair, which was completely forbidden for women back then, even in marriage. The affair was a huge social stigma, and the entire situation caused quite a lot of controversy. Finally, let's look at the Dowager Countess and Prince Kurrigan's history. Violet's strict adherence to manners and propriety made it all the more shocking when it was revealed that she once had an affair with Prince Kurrigan. In her youth, she almost ran away with him, but eventually came to her senses. When they reunited in their later years, the old spark seemed to reignite. However, Violet was too wise to give up her comfortable, noble life for the prince despite their lingering connection. Well, that's a wrap on the biggest secrets and scandals from Downton Abbey. Which scandal shocked you the most? Was it Mary and Kamal Pamuk's affair, or maybe the revelation about the Dowager Countess and Prince Kurrigan? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more updates and exciting discussions on Downton Abbey and other upcoming movies. See you next time.